What makes a house a home? We've asked the people of Scotland to enter their houses into Scotland's Home of the Year. Now, our judges are visiting the top 3 from each region, choosing one each week to go through to our national final. Scoring them on architectural merit, distinctive design and original style are interior designer Anna Campbell-Jones.
What I'm looking for in a home is bags of personality, care for the planet, and that most important ingredient, love.
Architect and lecturer Michael Angus.
What I'm looking for in a home is the right building in the right place, compassionately decorated to enhance the lives within.
And guest judge, winner of BBC's Interior Design Masters, Banjo Beale.
I'm looking for a home that is packed full of character and just really well lived in.
This is dreamy, isn't it?
I feel like the queen.
And look, I've already found the heart.
In the end, only one can be Scotland's Home of the Year. Today, our judges are visiting the shortlist in the south. And they're starting with a new build eco house in Dumfries and Galloway. Beech Trees is home to Zoe, Tony and their 3 Labradors, Nina, Lily and Finn.
We haven't been together that long, so we had 2 houses to put together. So everything has a story.
When we first saw the plot, it was lovely. And it had these huge, mature beech trees down one side. We had the branches of one make the shelves in the kitchen.
And everything that we can hand make, we do. The cushions are hand sewn and hand knitted. We've made curtains in the bedroom. You've made the table outside. Yeah, I think home is where you're comfortable, where you feel cosy and comfortable, and that's what we feel here.
All on one level, Beech Tree's sustainable design features an open-plan kitchen, dining and living area. This opens out onto a courtyard and garden. There are also 2 bedrooms, one with ensuite and a family bathroom.
Well, this is our favourite spot in the house because we can sit here at dusk and look at the beautiful view out the window, and we can watch the barn owls come and go and feed their family.
Armed with only the basic facts about the property, the judges now get their first look at Beech Trees.
I can't help but immediately warm to this building. It's not just the crispness of the lines, it's just that this represents to me the new tradition, contemporary tradition of Scottish home building.
Yeah, it's magic. It feels pretty fresh too. It's literally greying before our eyes, isn't it?
I think it's clever how they've kept the detailing to a minimum. You've got the standing seam detail on that connecting piece, which matches the standing seam detail of the zinc roof.
It's definitely a home of 2 parts, isn't it? Will we see how they split up? Yeah?
Okay, let's do it. Okay. Immediately, I recognise that. That looks like it's Nepal. These guys have climbed Everest.
And yet the whole home feels like it's on one level. So maybe they've just had enough of climbing.
I mean, this to me is an architectural education moment, a space like this. Is it choice or dilemma? And I have no dilemma here. I am getting drawn immediately to that wonderful picture view window through there. So I'm assuming that's the living room.
Oh, wow. There you go, Michael. Oh, straight away, the favourite spot. Well, I can see why. I mean, this is the perfect spot to sit and just look at that beautiful undulating countryside.
I'm loving those wildflowers as well. It kind of looks like a ha-ha dipping down into that field. And I mean, it just goes on and on forever. It's so beautiful. And that lovely beech sill across there with the resin going through it, that's really clever.
And then with the 2 windows at right angles, this window is giving me a view just of trees. And I can see an owl box there. So this is maybe a good spot for spotting birds.
I wasn't expecting it to be this volume, actually. For some reason, I was just thinking it would just be the flat ceiling. So it's actually a lovely, almost cathedral-like kind of quality to it. Really nice. You get some really judiciously placed windows here. I mean, it's a lovely one here that's just throwing this light across the floor, and then the journey continues with the view out there. So this is really, I think, a rather well orchestrated positioning of the openings in the facade.
The only thing I would say about this kitchen is there's not very much work surface. Whenever you're actually working, you're facing a wall, and even though that wall is a beautiful colour, I think a little island unit would really work, because then you could do your prep, you can chat to people that are sitting in the rest of the space and look at the view.
Well, as a master microwaver, I think this space is actually perfect. Heat and eat. That's all you need.
And you step out of your kitchen into this gorgeous little sun trap.
Into your kitchen garden.
So simple and so effective, just by offsetting the two bits of the building, you create another room, an outside room.
It's a gorgeous front fence if you're going to have one. It's high enough just to be private.
It's especially private if you're going to lie down on that hammock. I'm going to have to...
Calling your name.
Whoop. Ah. Ooh, it's a bit swingy.
You're a swinger, baby.
I mean, I was actually expecting the ceiling to flatten off. I'm just glad it's still elevated for the tall guy in me. It's just nice to have your head, in the middle of the room.
Head in the clouds.
That's
but, I mean, I'm looking at those frills, like, bedrooms are for frills, aren't they? I love it. It's like a modern room, but they've got that touch of old kind of whimsy.
I really like the way they've got that dainty lace with the deck chair striped curtains. It's a kind of good contrast, which shows that they're not taking things too seriously.
I'm also really enjoying that they're still obviously using their own things. I mean, that's a wonderful storage box over there, isn't it fantastic?
You've got a little ensuite through there, and I'm spying some encaustic tiles. Is that how you say it, Anna? Encaustic?
Yeah, that'll do.
Every day's a school day. They're nice anyway. And this makes this room really self-contained. You've got your ensuite. I mean, this is a one-stop shop.
How will the judges score beech trees? Michael's mark will be held back until the judges have seen all 3 homes, when their combined scores will be revealed.
What I really like about this home is the way the homeowners have brought together a collection of all their objects, their favourite pieces of furniture, things they've made, and artwork that tells a story of their lives. This is a home that clearly takes care of the environment. They're growing their own vegetables, they're growing their own cut flowers for inside the house, so they're bringing pleasure into being environmentally conscious. I think this home would benefit from a kitchen that really does justice to the produce that they obviously grow here. I'm going to give this home an 8.
I think this is a great home, and for me it was all about the outside and that beautiful view, and sitting on that couch looking out across those wildflower meadows into the fields. That was the money spot. This house feels really calm and grounded. I think their use of timber and bringing the beech trees from outside inside. I love their collections. They clearly love to travel, but it seems like a really lovely place to settle down and just enjoy nature and birdwatch. I can see they're adventurous with what they're doing with things like the windowsills. So I think just dial that up a notch and you'll have a pretty remarkable home. I'm giving this home an 8.
My first impressions were that this home was going to be so responsive to the environment. Despite its sharp lines and its regularity, you could sense that this building wanted to be generous to the world. There's a lovely quote by Le Corbusier, said, "The history of architecture is the history of the struggle for light." And I sense no struggle in this building. I doubt you would ever miss a sunrise nor a sunset.
Next up for the judges is a former milking barn with a contemporary extension in Dumfries and Galloway. Knocklimpin is home to Helen Joyce and David.
Well, Knocklimpin sat unoccupied probably for that 25 years until I came upon it one day and I just knew I had to build a house here. We wanted to sort of retain the character and integrity of the barn. We could achieve that by having a sort of umbilical cord linking the old building to a very contemporary apart.
We wanted something that reflected our personalities. So we were bringing together things that were inherited, things that were quite old from being bashed about by families. And it was really just to reflect the fact that this is very much a home that's well used. We have friends, relatives, grandchildren, animals, you know. So it's a real mismatch, but hopefully in the end, it kind of reflects us.
I'm a country boy, born and bred on a farm, and I've looked after land, countryside like this all my life. So I couldn't ask for anything more, really.
It's just so peaceful and wonderful.
The original part of the 19th century barn comprises the kitchen living area together with 2 ensuite bedrooms. The contemporary addition features the sitting dining room and includes 2 further ensuite bedrooms on the lower ground.
This is our favourite spot in the home because it's a very cosy room, especially in the winter, but also in daylight or in the summer. The views are amazing, uninterrupted, and we love it.
So what will the judges make of Knocklimpin?
Oh, I'm getting a kind of ranch vibe with all this kind of horizontal slatted timber.
Yeah, ranch, come ski lodge, come buyers.
There's a lot to look at.
There's a lot going on. It's a triple threat.
I think this is a classic example of a clear-story roof. That's the perfect way of trying to get sunlight in. I'm expecting we'll see that when we get inside.
Yeah, although the forms are quite traditional, when you approach from this side, it's definitely got a kind of American 90s, 50s feel, a sort of Jetsons vibe. So shall we see which decade or which continent we're in when we go inside?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
Oh, yes. So in the front door and right out the back. I mean, that is a view, isn't it? I mean, the trees, the mountains, that is magic.
It's just these lovely thresholds, isn't it? There was a really subtle one under the eaves of the roof. We've got another one and then another one to the outdoors. All crammed into a very short space of time.
And outside, there's this really contemporary tensioned steel balustrade, which is juxtaposed against this beautifully restored sandstone of the barn.
This is just a breath, isn't it, this space? You walk in the door, you can breathe, take in that view and decide which one of the 100 doors you go through next.
Well, shall we try that one?
Okay, let's go. Whoa. This is big. This is a big island.
It's a lot more kind of sparkly and glitzy than I was expecting. We're in the most rustic part of the building, and yet here we've got chrome lights, we've got a chandelier. It's quite unexpected.
I mean, there is a lot going on, but I am drawn to the trusses. Beautifully sort of old, and yet we have this kind of Star Trek beam me up thing going on here. It's a strange combination.
Yeah, well, you called it Jetsons vibes. I mean, intergalactic work surface as well, big shiny balls. I mean, it's got it all.
Wow.
Oh, found the heart. Okay, I can see why this is their favourite spot. If I had all of this fancy stuff, I'd probably want to look at it as well. They've got all your gorgeous art. I mean, it even smells expensive.
Actually, I think my favourite spot to sit in this room would be on one of these beautiful bergère pieces of furniture right in the view. This part of the building has got quite a 90s style of architecture, expressed particularly in that Memphis kind of Pomo fireplace.
I love this feeling that we're kind of hanging out into the landscape. I mean, I know we're not cantilevered, but it feels as if we are. And there's the clear story. On a sunny day, you'd get such incredible shafts of sunlight just streaming through this room. It'd be absolutely incredible.
Well, I wasn't expecting a downstairs.
Down to the basement, do you think?
To the steerage.
More lavishness in here.
I mean, this looks like something Rose posed on in the Titanic, doesn't it?
I do love a chaise longue in a bedroom, though, don't
I
you?
mean, darling, it's essential.
I really like this little ducat here, just tucked away into the corner as a very special little makeup area. But I would really struggle with furniture like that. I would need to square it up. I just couldn't ever sit happily with that.
It's quite nice to find yourself looking out sort of as if we're buried in the side of the hill with the grass coming up to the windowsill.
It's relaxing until you wake up with a giant ram staring at you in the morning. I mean, that gives... I know.
Especially when you're on your chaise longue.
I know, in the bath.
Oh, it's pretty in pink, isn't it?
Lots of pink bits in here. How do you feel about the pink, Michael?
I actually like this room.
Uh-oh.
He's got form with pink, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, pink's good. I was feeling in the other rooms as if there was a lot of shouting going on, whereas what the pink is doing is kind of making everything sit more comfortably together.
I mean, it kind of, to me, feels like the room that my granny would leave out some soap and lavender for the guests. But I am liking this naive print. I think it just makes it a little bit more modern with the yellow. So that's working for me.
You've definitely got all bases covered in this room. You've got a door that leads out to the terrace and a chamber pot. So you're safe once you're in here.
You don't have to go anywhere.
So
you actually go in here.
How will the judges rate Knocklimpin? Anna is holding back her score.
I thought the setting was virtually picture perfect. And the building itself, it seemed to me to be full of promise. There's some beautifully crafted elements in this home. There's some wonderful spaces. I've just found it rather difficult to feel entirely comfortable because I felt as if it was a bit of a cacophony of elements that just didn't quite produce that harmonious note that I would be looking for. I'm going to give this home a 7.
I think they have a really broad, diverse mix of art and lots of Scottish art as well, which is really nice to see. The most successful spaces are kind of when you start looking out towards the view. And I think if you took away some things in this house and let some rooms breathe a little bit more and kind of just embrace the view, maybe this house could really sing. I'm giving this home an 8.
The way that the building has been extended to create a really large family home sits really well in the landscape and takes full advantage of the location. I think there's a challenge with the day and the night uses of this home. This space is really, really light and has all the views, but feels more like an evening space. And the kitchen, which is a daytime space, has quite limited access to the views. So I would flip that around.
The final home in the south is an historic renovation on the outskirts of Peebles. Manor House is thought to date back to the 16th century. It's now home to Megan, husband Mike, and their children Caleb and Amelia.
When we came across the manor house, it was dilapidated, damp, it was drafty. You could stand in the ground floor of the house and see out of the roof due to holes in the roof. Everybody around us thought we were completely insane. It was a leap of faith, seeing the potential. I have no experience at all in interior design or anything like that. Everything that you see is just, I chose it because I liked it. The playroom, for example, has got quite childlike and fun bird wallpaper, but we chose that because the wallpaper that had been in there, probably we think from about the 1930s or 40s, was bird paper. I can't really think of anything, maybe apart from a few beds, that we've gone and bought new from a shop. This kitchen island was once a school science bench. The flooring in the playroom, we got out of a skip. So the vast majority of the things we've acquired through various means.
The house has been extended several times over 5 centuries and includes, on the ground floor, a kitchen and dining area, a reception room and a living room. The first floor has 3 bedrooms, 2 are en suite, as well as a playroom and a family bathroom.
This is our favourite spot in the home because it's the children's playroom and you can look out the window at the beautiful hills and it brings the outside in.
Time for the judges to explore Manor House.
Wow, this is quaint, isn't it?
Goodness me, what a beautiful curved front this building has got.
It's quite something, isn't it? I mean, when I think manor house, I tend to think really ostentatious, but with that simple form and the simplicity of the materials, put a flat roof in that, change the proportions of the window, that's modernism.
Well, yeah, I'm seeing that one says 1641. We've got 1851 here. That's 3 centuries apart.
It's an imposing scale, isn't it? I suspect we're going to see some rather dramatic spaces on the inside.
Yeah, that's a lot of windows and a lot of rooms.
Shall we go count them?
Let's do it, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this wasn't built yesterday.
Oh, I love this. A building of this magnitude, I was expecting the great sort of vertical hall space, which we've got, but I really wasn't expecting to get this flow into these other spaces, and particularly through openings of such a modern proportion.
I'm loving that staircase because it hasn't been renovated within an inch of its life. It's still that beautiful stone and that patina, so it feels just right.
Yes, it's just been sort of tickled, hasn't it? Brought back to life.
That's just a gorgeous family sitting room where they've got their piano. Like, that is a really fun space for the family to kind of gather.
It's a really intriguing space, isn't it? We've got leather and tweed, a beautiful kind of Persian-style rug, but also quite unexpected kind of African creatures wallpaper. So there's going to be some humour, I think, in this home.
Uh-oh, you're going to get on that piano later, aren't you? A martini and a little concerto from you.
Wow. More menagerie on the walls in here.
A menagerie, you're right. What could have been a really stuffy kind of house is already feeling like it's just fun and playful, and I really like that.
This feels like a room where you would sort of hunker down, you close the shutters and you sit and have a conversation. I've noticed there's no TV in here.
I really like the colours, actually. The grey is still here from the hall, but it's now getting enriched by these blues and yellows.
Yeah.
That's a beast, isn't it?
That's gorgeous.
I love the way these two rather sizable pieces of furniture, the island and the table, sit so well in their spaces. You know, this is taking up this dimension. The table is sitting so comfortably in that space. It is 2 rooms in one, really.
I like that they're not afraid to sort of mix and match with styles. The tablecloth's got tropical leaves, the wallpaper's kind of almost like farm allotment kind of theme. And then over here, we've got almost a kind of mashup with a hacienda-style brick arch, Moroccan tiles, and a good old-fashioned farmhouse kitchen Aga.
And I just spotted a little baby Chesterfield as well, which is so cute. So it's like a house for big kids and little kids.
It's just such a lovely pace to these stairs, isn't it?
Oh, God. This house is a marathon. Need a drink stop.
Stunning.
So the kids are really important in this house because they got the best room, didn't they? I think this is just a really great space where they can just let their imagination run wild.
I absolutely love this Quentin Blake wallpaper. He was my favourite illustrator when I was a kid. I've got his autograph somewhere.
I mean, I would have put the heart in this room anyway, but I think it's something really wonderful about the fact that it seems that the children have been allowed to locate the heart in this building. I mean, what a wonderful place to put the heart for them.
Oh, wow. That's a symphony in blue, isn't it?
It is.
And this is a grown-up room, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, no kids allowed in this room. No. I still would have put my room in the one down there, though. I mean, this is lovely, but I mean, the kids got the best room in the house.
I'm enjoying that they're giving every room its own character.
I think they've done the right thing, picking a colour and keeping a really tight palette, because a bedroom should be a really calm, relaxing space, and this is.
I love when you have a separate seating area in a bedroom. It just makes it feel so much calmer, and it creates a kind of multifunctional space.
What will the judges score Manor House? Banjo is holding his mark back.
It's absolutely amazing to see a home of this age being brought back to life as such a fun-filled family home. There are bits that are new, there are bits that are still to be tackled, and I quite like that contrast between the old and the new. A building like this, which has such a strong personality, can definitely take more. They have been using bold colours. I think there could be more of that in this home. I'm going to give this home a 9.
I thought this home was full of surprises right from the off. It was not what I was expecting for a manor house. It was a more unique form, sort of a different sort of aesthetic, and that carried on throughout the interior of the home. It was constantly revealing new and surprising moments. I'm going to give this home a 10.
It's no mean feat to tackle a project this size, but what I really love is that they're doing it with care, they're doing it with a sense of humour, and I think at the centre of it all is their kids, and every space is full of whimsy and is all about kind of just firing off their imagination. I think it's a really magic home for a family to kind of live in.
Now that the judges have seen all 3 homes, the final scores can be revealed. First, it was Beech Trees in Dumfries and Galloway.
It's this delightfully diagrammatic eco-home, which I gave an 8. And Banjo, you also gave it an 8. Michael, tell us what you thought about it.
I thought this was a fine example of what I think of as the new traditional home building in Scotland. I really enjoyed the way it was offset, but I was looking for a little bit more definition on the inside, so I gave Beech Trees a 9.
Okay, so that gives Beech Trees 25.
Next up was Knocklimpin, also in Dumfries and Galloway.
This beautifully bucolic extended barn. Michael, you gave it a 7. And Banjo gave it an 8. I thought it did take advantage of where it was located, but I felt that the spaces in the home could have been situated differently. So I gave it a 7. That gives Knocklimpin 22.
And finally, Manor House near Peebles.
So this beautiful ancient pile nestled in the countryside. Michael, you gave it a 10. I gave it a 9. Banjo, tell us what you thought.
Well, it's a wild family home in a wild location, and it's designed for big and little kids, so I gave it a 10.
Yeah, excellent.
Wow. So that gives Manor House 29.
Now that is brilliant.
So our finalist for the South is Manor House.
Magic.
Manor House wins in the South and is one step closer to being Scotland's Home of the Year. Next time,
Hey, disco log cabin.
the judges are in the Highlands and Islands
Ooh, look at that.
as the search continues for Scotland's Home of the Year.